Then Just For You, like, oh my goodness, bro. Like I could not get enough of this song. Another well-crafted banger, again, beautiful instrumentation, utilizing the sustained notes on the keyboard, the cowbells on the verses, the spacey elements that really come together on the second hook as the song transitions again into each section. Just awesome, awesome, awesome.
And like you said, Just For You is one of the best songs on the album. The percussion is incredible. I love the mix of rapping and singing from KRIT. He gives you a little bit of old KRIT, like once he gets into like the verses and the bounce that it has on it. I think it's a really great mix of his talents.
Let me put you on game.
Big K.R.I.T. He dropped an album a couple weeks ago. We're getting to it now. It is called Digital Roses Don't Die. And if you are not familiar with Big K.R.I.T, he is a Mississippi rapper, producer, and based on this album, also singer, who is pretty underrated, I would say. I think he's an artist that, based on the kind of music he makes, I would have thought that he would have been able to ascend to like Amigos level of popularity because of his ability to get, like, I think so many of his songs, especially early on in his career, like were so well suited for radio, particularly Southern radio, but for whatever reason, he just didn't get that push. But I think he still, through his own will and his own talent, has found a way to find his own niche within rap music. He's still a pretty popular artist, but he's found a way to make his way despite not necessarily being a guy that's a household name. But he's got this new album, Digital Roses Don't Die, which is I think a pretty distinct departure from his older sound, which was a lot more rap heavy, a lot more booming, goes hard in the whip, or however you want to put it. But this is a lot more smooth, a lot more laid back, a lot more, hold your lady and smell her neck. It's a little bit more laid back, but I really enjoyed it. I think it's one of his most impressive albums musically, in terms of taking a risk and actually delving into a different sound that most rappers don't delve into, but actually doing a great job at it. I did not like it at all. First listen, I was not expecting, despite the title and the album cover, I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't this. But after, settling in with the sound, I was really able to take it in and really enjoy it. But enough about me and my spiel and my opinion. Let's get to you, man. How did you feel about Digital Roses Don't Die from Big K.R.I.T?
I've liked KRIT for a long time now. You put me on a KRIT and you showed me his abilities. And I really wasn't sure what to expect from this project, but he hasn't disappointed me up until this point. Even if I thought, and I didn't think any one particular project was great. So I always felt that there was either something missing or something better around the corner. And I feel like this album is that event horizon, so to speak. His production skills have always been something that was strong and his strong suit, but I think he takes it to another level with the live instrumentation and this project that centers the horns, the keys, the electric, the bass, the synthesizers, all for good measure to create a very unique sound that you don't really hear a lot nowadays. The closest thing I can think of is Silk Sonic and what they were able to do with their project. And he brought a different type of funk, but he revives that sound. And it's really beautiful and masterful the way he was able to do it throughout this project. So I can't wait to get into this track by track breakdown.
For sure. I did misspeak earlier. I think Forever Is a Mighty Long Time is his most impressive album musically. That's his double album from 2017. I think that's his magnum opus. I think that's the best project KRIT has ever released for me personally. I think it's incredibly impressive. I think it's one of the best. It has my best rap album for 2017. But he's released so many projects. I think it might get lost in the shuffle because he has a high output in terms of albums. But I think that one if you're looking for a great album, rap wise, outside of the R&B that he was more so and funk he was leaning with this one, I think that's his best rap album. But enough about that. Let's get into Digital Roses Don't Die. He's got, I guess we can go in this pretty clean. We normally have to think about how we're gonna divide the songs up, but based on the interludes, he's done a nice job of that for us. So there's
sectioning it off.
Yeah, sectioning it off. There's the fire section. It opens up with South Side of the Moon, which I think was a good intro into what we're getting into for the album. I like the little historical rap song scheme that he had on his verses here. I also like the really choppy vocal harmonies in the background, and I thought the percussion that he used on the album goes really well with his flow. I think KRIT is super underrated as a producer. I wish he produced for more people for like bigger tracks, because I think that he has a really good ear for melody, and I think he showed it particularly on this album. Show You Right, really catchy song. This album has so many like earworm hooks.
Yeah.
I can show you better than I tell you. Like it's just been like going off in my head. Oh yeah, really
man.
triumphant production. I love the groovy bass on here. The chorus, like I said, is catchy. Really great melody work. And that leads us right into Road Clean. One of my favorite tracks of the year, honestly, already. Super smooth. I love the harmonies that he pulls in on the chorus. It just feels like a nice glass of wine, like going down. You know what I'm saying? A really great showcase of his grasp of melody on the album, and yeah, like I said, definitely one of my favorite tracks of the year. How'd you feel about the fire section?
The fire section got off rocky for me. I
Oh,
thought fire interlude was just awkward. It just didn't. I
fire.
wasn't
Like fire.
like that part. I was like, okay, but just the sound, the electric guitar was a little awkward for me in this track in particular, and he worried me for a second. But it showed he had the elements, so to speak.
Boo.
Of the of the different instruments that he was going to be using throughout the project. So that I was like, okay, we'll see what happens here. South Side of the Moon, again, a little bit jarring in the beginning, but the song actually grew on me throughout the listen. And then I love how the pop that happens as the piano kicks in. And the second verse is really cool in terms of him weaving the iconic Tupac songs into that verse, from Holla If You Hear Me and California Love, and just a couple others. I thought it was really clever during that second verse. But Show You Right, my God, I was like, okay, I see what you're doing here, bro. I see it. The talk box, the sprinkling in the trumpets, the bass guitar, his transition work from hook to verse and verse to hook throughout this whole project is really good, especially on some of my favorite tracks. And this is one of them. Really groovy, like you said, damn near perfect song. And it's low key about sexual prowess. And I just love when artists are able to be sensual and erotic, but in a subtle way. With suggestive and not overtly over the top lyrics. And I just always dig that. Road Clean, a classic KRIT subject matter, chopping blades, got the candy paint going and just the rims and the chop down. And you know how he do in the South, am I crooked letter? So it was a little jarring this half, but he caught his stride, in my opinion. But then you get into the Earth section and he goes hard. I mean, the Earth interlude, I thought was a more refined and aesthetically pleasing sound between the violin and the keys and the strings. It was very soothing. Come Out to Play, more talk box. I love me some talk box, and some of the best bass that I've heard in a while, man. Like this song slaps. It has the elements of funk and just a pure bliss of instrumentation, culminating with the fireworks that almost felt orgasmic at the end. Like it was really good. Then Just For You, like, oh my goodness, bro. Like I could not get enough of this song. Another well-crafted banger, again, beautiful instrumentation, utilizing the sustained notes on the keyboard, the cowbells on the verses, the spacey elements that really come together on the second hook as the song transitions again into each section. Just awesome. And then So Cool, a nice way to kind of just like relax this section. More saxophone, electric guitar, the deep piano that set the melody, the electric guitar riffs on the tail end of the song in the background were really exceptional, alongside his just vocals, which he did a really good job vocally on this project. I wish he would have brought in some more artists to kind of complement his sound, and I think he could have really benefited from some more R&B known voices,
like a duet kind of thing.
Yeah, like I think that's the only thing that could have really made this album like exceptional. But he did a great job, and the fact that he can carry his own vocal tones was really something to behold here. How was this section for you?
Oh, really good, really strong section. Come Out to Play I love his vocals there. The little plucky guitar at the end, like you said, Just For You is one of the best songs on the album. The percussion is incredible. I love the mix of rapping and singing from KRIT. He gives you a little bit of old KRIT, like once he gets into like the verses and the bounce that it has on it, I think it's a
Yeah.
really great mix of his talents. Really passionate verse on the second half. So Cool is also dope. Yeah, on my notes I wrote that, you know, it did remind me of like a song that could have been on An Evening with Silk Sonic. So
Mm.
I think it would have fit in there perfectly. But I really like the section overall. That gets into Water. I just thought I thought Boring was, I mean, pun intended, kind of boring to me. I
Interesting.
thought it was a little cheesy. I'm not really a fan of that particular song. I think it's the only song on the album that I don't like. Um, Would It Matter, I think, is really great. It's kind of a broke dude anthem. Basically saying, you know, like, well, how much would you put up with if I didn't have it? Basically.
Yeah,
I
21
love his flow
questions
on,
mold.
basically. Yeah, I love his
Yeah.
flow on the second half. Generational slash Way Down, I think is really interesting and really touching. A touching song about generational trauma and not wanting to conceive with someone because you're so worried about like what your problems are and if you potentially, you know, subconsciously or consciously pass those on to your children. So I thought that
Yeah.
was a really interesting subject matter that we don't really hear a lot in music or rap in general.
Yeah.
Musically, it was really great instrumentation between the trumpet on there and the keys. I love the beat switch at the end that really gets into that acoustic guitar section. A nice come down with some really beautiful falsettos. But yeah, Water, not a fan of the first track of the three, but I think it closes out with the second and the third. I really like this section overall, though.
Yeah, I like the interlude itself for this Water section. You know, lyrics like, as we reflect on the tears that form rivers in our interactions, the dewdrops of love that watered our passions. He was waxing poetic on these interludes, and I love it. I really dug that. Boring, I thought, is actually kind of ironic because I thought the song was a little exciting in terms of his flowing on the verses and stuff like that. And it really brings back that funk element with some light horns toward the end. But you know, it wasn't my favorite either. Would It Mattered, I like the saxophone. And but the lyrics I didn't think were particularly great, but his production here just really shined bright. And the beat was just so good, man. That I like the song just based on the instrumental. Generational, yeah, it was really fascinating. I love these two albums that we're reviewing today because they tackle topics that aren't typically tackled in rap. And this is what I love in terms of experimentation and just trying something new and different out. I love rappers that take chances and artists that don't talk about the normal things or the things that are supposed to quote unquote sell, but talk about stuff that's actually on their heart and get vulnerable and get thought provoking, you know, challenge their audience in a sense. But then going into the wind section, woo, he brings it back, and I think he closes it well. Probably my favorite of the interludes, from the sound effects of the blowing winds to the flute. You hear a lot of flute in this section as well. You know, starting with It's Over Now, spacey melody with emotional acoustic guitar that really allows you to feel the weight of this relationship that's ending, as that he's describing in the song. And then
And a
moving on to
falsetto from KRIT.
oh
A
that
nice
oh
look.
wow, yeah,
Yeah. showing
yeah.
off vocally. Like, yeah, he had a lot of good vocal moments on the album, but yeah, definitely on It's Over, I thought it was a really nice falsetto.
Yeah, and then going into Wet Lashes, I felt that same emotional gravitas and just sensuality with the violin and the transitions to the beat drop in the first part of the song that literally made my head explode. The theme that was just captured perfectly for this project, just sonically with the horns and the synthesizers, the bass and the string elements. It's so good, especially since he brought outside talent in on this song with Roylene, and it just made the song better overall. Going into All the Time, I thought he went back into the classic KRIT kind of mode with the charisma and its flow, especially on the second verse. And More Than Roses, I love really the horn melody from the beginning and the transitions to the violin that gets joined. And I felt like the best possible end to the project and really capture the thematic elements of the whole project. This song in particular, just the sonical elements, I thought he really did his part. And I love that he ended the album on this kind of note. How about you?
Definitely. Wind is also a really strong section. We talked about It's Over Now. Wet Lashes and Shot Glasses, a really nice continuation on the previous track. It's almost like the tracks kind of go together based on the subject matter, because you have It's Over Now where he's kind of seems like he's in the early stages of a breakup. And then you also have Wet Lashes and Shot Glasses where he's trying to drink his pain away because of the pain that's caused by the previous track. All the time, like you said, classic K.R.I.T. I love the funk influence. His flow on there is great. A great sense of urgency to the track, which is a good juxtaposition to the kind of slow groove, like vibey aspect of the other parts of the album. But yeah, that song is hard, and I thought More Than Roses itself was a great closer. But overall, yeah, just a really surprising album, surprisingly good. Of course, like I said, I kind of spit it out on first listen, but overall, after listening to it and really giving it a chance and really hearing it out, I think it's really good. I think K.R.I.T did a really great job exploring something different. I think he did what we ask of a lot of artists, where we ask them to not keep recycling the same sound, recycling the same album in different packaging. But I think he did a good job of experimenting with a sound that he's flashed before, but he like dove all the way into it now, and it was really enjoyable.
Yeah.
Favorite tracks, it's not a long album, so I guess let's go three. I'll go it's tough. I'll go I'll go Road Clean, Just For You, and Show You Right.
Okay. I gotta go. Oh man, you're killing me here. You're killing me, Smalls. Show You Right, of course. Just For You and Wet Lashes. Those are like part and parcel, set apart. They're amazing.
Yeah. So if you had to recommend this to our listeners or our watchers on a scale of hard pass to must listen, what would you recommend?
Let me go on my soapbox here. This is a surprisingly well crafted project by K.R.I.T. It's because I didn't know what to expect, but listening to it over and over again, it just really showed me, man, this guy has such an ear for sounds and compiling them together to create a project in the classic sense. And I love that we continue to review artists like this. And unfortunately, it's not getting enough attention, and I wish it got more because it's not really the popular sound of the day. And I think the project also suffers a bit from a mostly solo show from K.R.I.T. In terms of the vocals. And at times it was more flowetry than actually lyrical, which I prefer, but it was still punchy. It was still energetic. It was still in your face enough. And he put on such a clinic in terms of production and how to create an album that sounds cohesive and interesting at every single turn. He's always been an underrated artist, but I feel like this is him again putting all of his elements together. I think back to his times saying that BB King saw the king in him, and the influences that it came from in Mississippi, from the 70s funk, and that style of music, and him sticking true to those roots and bringing it out in full effect and not being afraid of that. So all that to say that I would highly recommend this project. I think it has a lot to offer, and I think it has just some clear bangers.
Definitely. K.R.I.T definitely did his thing with this one. I think it may grow on me more as time goes on. I don't think it's a perfect album. I think that there are, small missteps here and there for me that I didn't quite enjoy as much as the rest of the project. But by and large, this is a really good album, really good to great album. I really think that it deserves a listen. So if I had to introduce someone to K.R.I.T, I may not go with this album. I may go with Forever's a Mighty Long Time. But if you're just looking for a quick, smooth album that you can ride to in the summertime, I think that this is perfect for that. So I'll go highly recommend as well. I think K.R.I.T did a great job. I would love to see what an album from him looks like, where he mixes these sounds, where kind of like if you want to look at like someone like Kanye West, where My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is kind of the best of all of his albums put into one. Like you don't get My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy without 808s and Heartbreak. So I would love to see K.R.I.T incorporate the elements that he's compiled over his previous albums where he was rapping more, and then combine some more of this sound and mix that in there and see what he comes up with. But whatever he comes up with next, I'm sure it'll be, quality, because he's a quality artist. But really enjoyable project that I think we both can say is something that you should listen to and give a chance.